What's up? I'm Troubleshoot. It's Thursday, the 23rd of October. Spooky season has just begun in Rust, and in this video we'll be speaking about all of the brand new items added this week. I'll split this video into two parts. This one's going to be covering this week's brand new items that we've never seen before, and the other one's going to cover the seasonal items, just so I can refer to that in the future, as there's quite a few repeats here. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Heading into the in-game item store, everything here is in South African rands, but I'll translate for you, and of course there's a ton of items. Let's start off with the seasonal items that we see a return of every year. Again, you'll see me cover these in an in-depth guide linked down below. First of all, the Fogger 3000 is available for $6 once more, the Carvable Pumpkin for $4, Cursed Cauldron for $5, the Skull Trophy for $5, Skull Spikes for $3, Mummy Wraps, which is an underwear skin, $6, the Skull Rock, $4, Skull Fire Pit, $5, Large Candle Set, $4. This does actually include the small candles as well. Then the Hockey Mask, $4, Strobe Light, $4, Baseball Bat, $3, Dracula Cape, $6, as well as the Dracula Mask for $4, then the Cultist Deer Torch, $3, Hockey Mask, $4, and with that we've covered, I'm pretty sure, all of the items that appear seasonally yearly. This one is super interesting. This week's brand new items include, obviously, yet another Miner's Hat skin, the Surgeon Hat for $1.50, a Ghost Furnace, which was an instant purchase from me, $2, that Thing Rock, $2, then all for $1.50, the Skeleton Costume Burlap Shirt, Burlap Pants, and the Skeleton Costume Balaclava as well, again all for $1.50. Then for $1.50, the Tooth Monster Headwrap, and for $2, the Tooth Monster Poncho, then the Bone Cultists Garage Door, $2.49, Lord of the Night Locker, $2.50, the Devourer Backpack, $2, Spooky Harvest Fridge, $2, Zombie LR, $2.50, Pumpkin Boots, $1, also an instant buy, and I'm pretty sure that's almost all of the regular items this week. Something we've never seen before is these ones over here. We've got the Cobweb Wood ceiling wallpaper, which is actually tradable and marketable, as well as the Dia de los Muertos wallpaper, $3, Halloween Bats wallpaper, $3, and finally the Tree Roots floor wallpaper, also for $3. I've checked, all of these are actually marketable as they've been listed, as you can see here, making them, I'm pretty sure, the first wallpaper that we can trade on the Steam market. The rest of the wallpaper we've seen before is part of the DLC packs, and of course is untradeable. So for example, the ceiling and floor paper pack, etc. So there's a metric ton of these items. I'll only be running through the weekly items in this video, but down below you'll find a full breakdown showing the yearly occurrences of the Halloween items if you're interested in that and you haven't seen them before. So without further ado, let's have a look at all of these items in game and then speculate about market price to see where things might be going in the future. Prepare yourself for this spooky entry of weekly Rust skins. We'll run through this just a little bit quicker than usual. So starting off at the very top, we've got the Ghost Furnace for $2. This thing has a ton of transparency at the bottom, making it really see-through compared to the default furnace, although the shadow is there as it is usually, appearing as if it was there actually. Pretty cool. It's definitely floating off the ground and super unique. If you manage to get a view from the underside of it, you are able to see through quite a bit of the cloth that's hanging around, but most of the furnace's center does actually still exist. So this does give you a small one-way window if you ever find a use for this. Obviously you can't shoot through it, but you can see through it in one way, which is pretty interesting. Then if we flick over to turning it on, you can see that it glows beautifully. This thing is actually super cool. And of course, not to mention, if we have a look at nighttime, the cloth glows this really nice orangey color, which I think looks super cool. It gives a nice cloth feeling to it, being super realistic, at least somewhat. I actually really love the skin, and it was a instant buy on my half. Then moving on from here, going up from $2 to $2.50, the Bone Cultists Garage Door. Let's have a look in the day first. You can see that there's a pretty cool 3D effect on it. Those chains did actually light up as they're reflecting some sunlight. And if we have a look at the side here, you can see the nose is a little bit 3D, the face as well, the chains on the side, etc. There's a really light hint of 3D feeling on this, which actually looks pretty cool. and it reflects light in rather interesting ways. If we have a look at the backside, you can see that the roll-up at the top is this metal gate looking material. I actually really like how this thing looks, even though it is just very seasonal. If we have a look at nighttime, you'd expect the eyes to glow quite a bit, and while they do actually glow, they don't emit too much onto the rest of the garage door. There's a lot of general lighting emitted by the background, although with the nice 3D effect, the chains and things like that disappear into the darkness, which is really nice to see. This is incredibly tastefully well done. I love the 3D bumpy effect, and of course the illusion of depth given by the light in the background. Super cool. Then from there, clothing. First of all, the skeleton burlap costume. We've got the skeleton burlap shirt, pants, and the balaclava, all for $1.50 each, making it $4.50 for this entire set. It all comes together super coherently. You can see the entire human body. Haven't counted the bones, but you can see them all on the front. And if we have a look at the backside over here, you can see that this costume is actually pretty accurate, and you've got this X-ray vision type of look through your body. Really cool to see, super basic. The idea has been done tens of thousands of times in real life, and now we've finally got an analog in Rust as well. Be prepared to go trick-or-treating and blasting your way in wearing this. Now on the store, when you click these, you'll see that it's listed as glowing, and if we flick over to nighttime, well, there's not actually anything glowing here. I'm not entirely too sure what glows is supposed to mean there, but nothing on this emits light in any ways. There's no light just being cast by it in general, sort of making you stand out from the background like a global illumination thing. I'm really not too sure why it's listed as glowing. If someone knows, do let me know down below, but this does not glow at all. Moving on from there, for $2.50, the Lord of the Night locker is this very Halloween-y locker that'll fit in very well in any vampire's base, with these beautiful glowing candles in the back, just below that set of bat wings, with a couple of these very artsy-fartsy doors on the front. This thing looks really cool. The theme works absolutely perfectly with this locker, and overall it's super tastefully done. The back is just this rocky texture, and of course the sides and top as well. If we flick over to nighttime, you can see that this does glow quite a bit, as you'd expect. And of course we've got the candlelights on the front, a glowing cross at the bottom, this sort of summoning circle or something that's drawn into the center there. Maybe whatever was summoned broke out of it, and of course the side doors as well. The rest of the locker doesn't glow at all. It comes together really well, and if you're setting up a haunted mansion type thing, this is a fantastic no-brainer addition. Then moving on from there, we've got the spooky harvest fridge for $2. Again, there's a ton of transparency here, and it's got the same sort of booth setup where we've got the back with a bunch of items, the front is see-through, and the sides are partially see-through, just holding up the top over there. On the very top, much like the rest of this fridge, we've got a couple of spider webs, except on the top we've got a very large and not so friendly looking arachnid. Through the rest of these, we do have a couple of spiders and bats strung across in this sort of, not too sure what you'd call it, but it's hanging there. They're just chilling out. And of course, a couple of items, I guess, on sale / just sitting on a shelf in the background with a candle and a book at the very bottom. If we have a look from the side, you can see through it very easily. The front is completely missing, as you'd expect. And of course, the same is true on the other side as well. Overall, this thing comes together really well. The backside's got even more dark boards with spiderwebs and things like that. It doesn't necessarily scream fridge, but if you're looking for something nice to stick in your base as a sort of little small Halloween shop or something like that, this thing would work perfectly. Then moving on from there to one of my favorite items this week, besides the ghost furnace on our character, we've got these horrendous things, pumpkin boots, and of course, socks. The pumpkin boots are on sale for just $1. I picked these things up immediately. I love horrendous looking footwear, especially in this game, and this is absolutely top tier. You can see that a smiley face has been scratched into the front of this, and of course, we've got these Crocs in sport mode, so you're ready to run around, dodge bullets, and things like that. These obviously don't glow at all in the night, so they vanish completely, which is nice to know. You can wear these happy, fun socks more than just in your base. And of course, I didn't have a look at the glowing effects on the fridge. Let's flick over to nighttime. This is what you can expect from the fridge. The candles on the back are glowing, as well as the elixir on the top, the candle at the very bottom just next to that book, and there's a little bit of illumination throughout the inside and a bit on the outside, making it very easy to spot at nighttime, and overall it's pretty aesthetically pleasing. At the very top, the top that's stretched over isn't actually glowing at all, reflecting light. I think maybe it should be just a little bit, but hey, there you go. it still comes together really well. From there, let's look back at our character, and we've got the Tooth Monster Headwrap and Tooth Monster Poncho. The Headwrap for $1.50, the Poncho for just $2, is this very gory mess that you can spread across yourself. Let's just reduce the visual noise a little bit so you can see more of what's going on. This very gutsy, gory poncho has these intestines and teeth spread all around it with a bunch of green cloth / tarp. Not too sure what it's there for. It's bloody, messy, and super interesting looking. If you're ready to terrorize people in Rust, it's a pretty good choice. As for the Headwrap, which is a Burlap Headwrap, it's got this venom-type teeth spread across it, a skull peeking through whatever green skin this thing has, and of course it's eaten you whole / you're driving this monster / the monster is you. You'll notice that this gory, gutsy mess is also part of the Headwrap as well. It's not just the poncho that has it, and overall it comes together pretty well, though it is very visually noisy. There's a lot going on here. Before we move on to the next items, if we flick over to nighttime, you can see that none of this glows as well, which is good to see. You'll vanish into the darkness as you'd hope. The next item we'll be looking at is the That Thing Rock for $2. It's a massive skin with a bunch of eyeballs sticking out of it, some lips, some noses, etc. Really not too sure what this veiny mess came from. Maybe a teleporter incident gone wrong, but now it's in your hand and you're ready to smash things with this fleshy rock. Unfortunately, there isn't a fleshy smashing sound when you smack this into things, which would be super cool to hear, but this veiny, homunculus mess can be all yours for $2. Ugh, that's unsettling. Getting rid of that and moving on, we've got this beauty over here, which is the Zombie LR. Fixing the camera angle there. Again, it's a very visually noisy item. There's a whole bunch going on here. Let's just take off that poncho. You can see this teethy demon / painted artwork with an arrow going through its head on the side. Overall, it does look pretty cool in terms of colors, but in terms of what it's actually supposed to be, it's very difficult to tell at a quick look. I don't see anything too crazy going on with the iron sights, though I do see some pink up there. We'll see in just a moment. And of course, the other side as well is just as visually noisy. There's a ton going on, and overall, while it does come together pretty well, I like the color palette on it. There's just way too much going on here for me to really like it. If we have a look down the scope here, you can see that we've got a bunch of teeth at the back and a tongue, which is pretty cool to see. And if we scope in here, you can see that we have a beautiful pink / purpley iron sight at the back and the front. Comparing this to the default LR, I don't think anything is missing, which is nice to see. And of course, if we have a look at nighttime, you'd expect this bright pink front iron sight to be super obvious. And if we wait for the light to adjust, yeah, it's definitely not bad at all. We've seen some brighter iron sights, but this is relatively easy to see at nighttime. Versus the default LR, I definitely do think there's a small improvement, which is most definitely welcome. Then we've got two items left, starting off at the top. The Surgeon Hat, which is a miner's hat, is available for $1.50. While it might fit in pretty well with the Surgeon Scrubs, that unfortunately does take control of you completely. This miner's hat does look pretty similar in terms of color, blood spread all over it, and of course the light on the front, or not too sure what it's supposed to be, stethoscope type thing. I don't know, I'm sure I saw a video about it at some stage. Overall, definitely very bloody, very cool. If you're ripping apart your enemies, this is a pretty cool miner's hat to have, and it's definitely one of the less egregious miner's hat skins that we've seen, where it's definitely much more down to earth, which is nice to see. And if we turn this thing on, you can see that it glows at the front, and there's nothing too crazy going on there. If we flick over to nighttime, again, the glow shows a little bit on the actual miner's hat itself, but overall, it's definitely not bad at all. If we turn it off, as you'd expect, it does vanish completely, which is good to see. Then, finally, moving on from this, we've got one more item this week before we get onto the fancy wallpapers, and that is this horrendous thing over here. This is the Devourer Backpack for $2. You can get this incredibly teethy, eyebally monster stuck on your back, which is really nice to see, which is really interesting and maybe not too hyper detailed, but it's more than enough to give you a bit of the chills / goosebumps. A very spooky skin to be sure. This thing looks really cool, and overall it's one of my favorite looking backpacks, although it is definitely very, well, seasonal. We've got this very brown leathery mess spreading all the way across to the front, where it looks like we've got two bits of monster bone sticking out, which is rather creepy. But at the back, yeah, this thing looks absolutely incredible. From the bottom, it's more of this same brown canvasy leather material, and the top, we've got the same, except we've got a tongue sticking out, almost tickling your neck. Definitely very, very cool, and overall, this Halloween's skins are actually really, really good looking. So finally, let's move on to the wallpaper, which is marketable, and I think one of the first, if not the first, marketable wallpapers that we've seen. So let's have a look. Throwing down these wallpapers, you can see exactly what's going on. Starting off with the bottom over here, you can bring the spooky garden cemetery indoors with your very own tree roots wallpaper flooring. Very interesting to be sure. This leafy mess is definitely something that you can use to make your clan base look a lot more dirty. Just the way that this thing looks, there's a ton of visual noise going on here. If you drop an item on it, there's a relatively small chance that it'll vanish / be much more difficult to see, especially if it's a lot smaller and darker, much like, I don't know, a wire tool or something like that. Obviously though, that's not too much of an issue. Moving up to the corner, the Halloween bats for $3 is actually a lot better looking in my opinion. I really like this dark black color with these Halloween bats stuck all over it. I'm not too sure what these little sprinkles of light are supposed to be, maybe stars or something like that. We'll have a look at nighttime in just a moment. And moving over to the right side here, we've got the Dia de los Muertos wallpaper, which comes together super well. I'm sure it tiles very well as well, so it definitely would look very good, much bigger inside of a base. Overall, this definitely does look super cool, and it's one of my favorite wallpapers this far. Finally, the Cobweb Wood ceiling wallpaper is this very unused garagey / attic-y look, which looks really, really cool. And if you're careful, you might notice that there's blinking eyes coming through this ceiling, which is super, super cool. Keep your eyes on this one and you'll see that they do actually blink. Definitely very, very cool. I really like that this is animated. That's super, super cool. Have we seen an animated wallpaper before? I really don't think we have. Finally, flicking over to nighttime to have a look at these. The eyes glow and of course they blink at nighttime. Definitely super, super spooky. I'll be sure to decorate every base with this. The bats on the wall come through really well. You can see the outlines of your base super easily. The Dia de los Muertos wallpaper has more of a greenish hint to the white that we saw during the day. The rest of the design is definitely very visible as well. And finally, the floor paper as well vanishes completely. Definitely very, very cool. I love this ceiling wallpaper. I didn't realize it was animated, and I don't think anything is said about it. Let's have a look. Yeah, there's nothing about animated anywhere. This is a hidden gem, and I'm definitely super happy that I bought it this week. It is marketable. Do let me know if other people know about this, as maybe this really unique part of it might actually drive up the price, but we'll have to see when we speculate about market price, well, right now. Obviously, there's a ton of skins that we've covered so far, and there's even more on sale this week. That's why I'm splitting this video into two, otherwise it would go on for far too long. So again, if you're interested in seeing the yearly skins that aren't really marketable, you'll find that in a video linked down below, which I'll be referencing in the future as well. So now that we've seen all of these items in game, let's quickly flick over to a website where we can speculate about market price in the future. I'm not Oracle, I'm just looking at similar items and making some wild guesses as to where things will go. This wallpaper, obviously, we won't really be able to guess price for, as I don't think we've seen any wallpaper being marketable before, but I definitely do think the ceiling wallpaper, if it isn't caught on to being animated, might be a super nice gem to collect and keep. That being said, if you're looking to purchase skins, buy them to keep / play with, don't try and flip them for a profit, and if you do your own research. I'm just making some wild guesstimations. So without further ado, let's begin. Having a look at trusty old SCMM, as it's doing a lot better nowadays, there's a ton of items here, and we'll sort by the most purchased first. So with over 1,600 minimum sales, the Ghost Furnace completely blows the rest of the items out this week in terms of how many people have bought it, which is interesting to see. Then the Bone Cultists garage door is just behind it with 755 sales. Then incredibly close behind it, the Skeleton Burlap shirt, pants, and of course the Balaclava as well, all with 675, 650, and almost 600 sales each. Then the Spooky Harvest fridge at around 560 minimum sales, the Lord of the Night locker with 550, so really close behind as well, taking a further step back to 460, the Pumpkin Boots, an even bigger step back to 350, the Tooth Monster Headwrap with 343, 335, That Thing Rock, 300, the Zombie LR, 300 again, the Surgeon Hat, Slightly behind that, taking an even bigger step down to 50 minimum sales, the Tooth Monster Poncho is nowhere near as popular as the Headwrap, which is quite surprising. Then the Devourer Backpack, 440. We haven't seen backpacks doing too well, and from here it's just the general skins that we've seen every Halloween, which I'll obviously be skipping over, although they are definitely marketable. If you're interested in how price has gone for these, you can quickly browse your eyes through these. You can see it's a hit or miss in terms of red and green, with only a couple of these doing pretty well. But again, the price does fluctuate a huge amount throughout the year, especially as we get closer to Halloween, and then of course there's a big drop just afterwards as people have just bought these skins and they want to dump them onto the market. Starting off with the most popular item of this week, the Ghost Furnace, with a ton of minimum sales. Obviously it's not part of a set in any way, it's a completely unique item, but if we have a look at some of the other furnace skins we have, of which 99 other ones are cheaper. I'm not too sure why it says 121 cheaper furnaces. I guess it's counting Twitch drops. And overall, everything is not doing too swimmingly for these furnaces. Only a couple of them are really breaking the mold. The majority of these furnace skins have lost quite a bit of their value, and that's very obvious by the median price of around 94 cents and the medium store price of around 67 cents, down from the original. So overall, things don't look too good for this furnace, but it definitely is one of the best looking furnace skins I've seen in a while. This definitely tops the Necro furnace and the Ichu furnace. I'm pretty sure we got both of these last year Halloween. Yeah, roughly around the same time. So we might see another Halloween furnace later next week. That might be interesting to see. But overall, besides its general uniqueness from the rest of these furnaces, things aren't going too well for them. Then the Bone Cultist garage door isn't part of a set again, but if we have a look at the rest of the garage doors, things are even worse here. Everything is down by quite a lot, especially new garage door skins that we saw this year versus a couple of the ones that broke the mold last year. Yeah, things are definitely not too happy at all. A couple of these garage doors I really like, but overall, based on how everything else is going, you can probably pick this up cheaper next week, assuming it sells relatively about the same as these other ones, and of course they all go up on the market at the same time. Then the skeleton costume burlap shirt, pants, and balaclava are all part of the same set, obviously, and these items waited quite a while to be accepted compared to the other ones. They waited about a month and a week, which is pretty interesting. And of course, there are a few other burlap shirts that we've seen. Most of them are themed, and only a couple of them come out every year. Overall, burlap shirts do seem to be doing pretty well. There's a lot of green across the board, but the Friar shirt, which I really liked, did lose half of its value, so it's hit or miss. Then the skeleton costume burlap trousers, I think we see even fewer of these every year, and overall is only one that's just barely lost a bit of its price, which was the burlap disco pants, and that actually just lost 1 cent from its original sale value. Based off of how everything looks here, things look absolutely incredible for these pants. However, of course, it can always be the one to break the mold, especially if it sells 10 million times versus just a couple thousand. Do let me know down below if you'll be purchasing this set. I'll definitely be purchasing it just for using it in game, but overall things do look pretty good for it, which is nice to see. And finally, the skeleton costume balaclava. We've seen even fewer balaclavas, with just about one per year since 2023, and overall these more recent ones have lost quite a bit of value. I'm pretty sure these ones came out about the same time. Yeah, this was last year Halloween, this one's this year's Halloween. Based on the entire set, it might do a little bit better than the rest of these here, but of course a couple of these which are really heavily themed, or at least a lot older, have done quite well indeed. That being said, based on relatively new skins, of which we only have 2, things don't look too good for this. Again, it's part of a set, I'll be purchasing it to play with, but do let me know down below if you think this is worth it compared to maybe the pants and the rest of the set. Then the Spooky Harvest fridge, we've seen quite a few different fridge skins. A lot of these have been Twitch drops, and a ton of these were added this year. Median, it's about $2.22, and the medium price movement compared to store price, most of these fridges have gone up by about 29 cents, which is nice to see. That being said though, we've seen a lot of red this year, with only a couple of ones breaking the mold. The Neon Veggies is of course part of the Neon set. The Neon Pies fridge tanked, which was pretty interesting. The meat fridge as well. And it's definitely very 50-50, if not a bit more in the side of negative. Compared to the amount of Twitch drops that we've seen, we don't have a huge number of fridge skins, but of course it is very risky. It's more similarly themed to the lovely balloon cart, which went down about 40%. And I think maybe the Frosty Fridge, somewhat at least. It's also got that same sort of themed look to it, with the front being transparent and the sides as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think things are going to be doing too crazy for this, but it is a very nice looking fridge skin, albeit you can use it only for a couple of weeks a year. Then the Lord of the Night locker is joining a sea of red again, with these skins being about $1.91 median and overall losing about 64 cents median compared to the store price, with a lot of red across the board, unless magic strikes this particular locker. Compared to the rest of these skins this year, yeah, I don't think it's going to be doing well at all. Then moving further down, the pumpkin boots. I absolutely adore how these things look. They're disgusting, and that's great. These are obviously a lot more close to the big toe boots, and at least in my eyes. But overall, we have seen quite a few boots releasing this year, a lot of them being green, but these more goofy looking ones didn't seem to do too well. I don't know if sport mode Crocs are going to break the mold, but overall, the median store price movement is about 28 cents more than the original Steam store price, but the median price overall is about $1.55. So overall, things do look pretty good for these, at least in terms of the amount of green that we've seen this year, but there's definitely a few of these themed boots that didn't do too well at all. Then the Tooth Monster Burlap Headwrap is joining just a few other headwraps that we see released every year. It is very themed, although not particularly super Halloween-y like the Wrapped Brain, Freak Headwrap, the Death Mask, and things like that. It's more disgusting green and I don't know really. I'm not a huge fan of how it looks, and I don't really think things are going to be going too well for it, just based on how much red I'm seeing here. But overall, they're going for about $1.80 median price, and overall compared to the original store price, they've gone up by about 57 cents median once more. I don't think I'll be picking this up just based on how it looks, but do let me know down below if you'll be any different. Taking a huge step down to the Hide Poncho, just to stay in the same set, we've seen a ton more of these things. Overall, they've moved down by about 27 cents from the original store price, and again, we've seen quite a bit of red out there, so things don't look good at all for this, especially when it comes to themed ones like the Christmas wreath from last year, then from the year before as well. No, 2 years before, the Christmas tree poncho. The pizza set, which I absolutely adore, isn't doing too well either. And overall, unless it's a green poncho fitting for the jungle, things haven't gone too well for it. Then the That Thing rock. I think we've got a ton of rocks at this point. Let's see, 82 other rock skins. Overall, across the board, everything is down. Rock skins are usually not the best to pick up if you're hoping to flip them for a profit in the future, especially if you're unlucky. Only a very small handful of these actually breaks the mold and keeps their value, if not going up by just a little bit, and even that seems to take quite a few years. Yeah, red across the board. I don't think I'll be picking it up, maybe just based on how disgusting this thing looks. Then the Zombie LR is joining 97 other LRs, and again, it's a sea of red, with even the Heatseeker LR, which I saw doing pretty well, not doing very well at all. The only one that went up a little bit in price was the Black Ops LR, which we saw earlier this month, but again, things could change for that in a heartbeat. Having a look through last year, the year before that, everything is red. Things look absolutely terrible for LR skins, unless you're super unique. Then the Surgeon Miner Hat is joining a couple of miner hats that we've seen recently. The Senior Tomato Hat did pretty well, surprisingly, though this just went on sale, so you can't base too much on this alone. Overall, Miner's Hat skins, based on these two previous ones, aren't doing too well at all. The median store price is changed quite a bit based on the much older skins, which are available for sale based on how much they went up from the original store sale price, but that's not fair at all, as these were released like 8 and 9 years ago. Then we've covered the Tooth Monster Poncho, the Devourer Backpack. I don't think things have been doing too well for backpacks. Yep, definitely not. Overall, backpacks seem to be losing about 80 cents from their original store price, and there's a sea of red. Only pick this up if you like how it looks. Overall, I think it's pretty cool. The Pirate Backpack, can't really base too much on this alone, as it's only been on sale for a couple of hours. The rest of these, we've got a ton of Twitch drops here, and we've absolutely been flooded with backpacks with basically everything coming out this year. There's a lot of red. I do like how it looks, but yeah, things don't look too good for it. And from there, we've only got generic items, which I will be covering in a separate video down below. Hopefully you enjoyed my yapping, as it's gone on for quite some time, but that's really it for all of the brand new items that we see this week for Halloween. I'm definitely very happy with the wallpapers / floor paper, although it's pretty expensive when you combine everything together. And of course, the ghost furnace as well. Overall, those are my favorite items this week. Maybe the Crocs as well. Possibly the bone outfit too. Yeah. Anyways, I'll see you all in the video linked in the description down below, where I'll be running through all of the usual Halloween Rust items. But of course, if you already know everything that's going on there, hopefully you enjoyed this week's Rust skins, and I'll see you all again next week, where we'll be seeing those, speculating, etc. as usual. I'm going to take a quick breath, drink a glass of water, and get ready to yap about that. I'll see you all next time. Ciao.